President Trump has unveiled a ceasefire plan for Gaza, as per which, if Hamas agrees to release all the remaining Israeli hostages, then within 72 hours of that, the ceasefire plan will kickstart. But we have seen this in the past. Many attempts have been made for a ceasefire. That has been elusive. The war is going to close in on 2 years in a few days. Joining us now is a very special guest. Reuven Azar is the ambassador of Israel to India. Thank you very much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. You are very hopeful. The whole world is very hopeful after the Trump peace plan was unveiled at the White House yesterday. Why do you believe this time Hamas will release the hostages and decommission its weapons and relinquish itself in any role in a future Gaza?
Well, we don't have assurances that Hamas will do that, but what we have here, I think, is several new elements that we haven't seen in the past. First of all, there is a clear plan and a vision, not only for the future of Gaza, but for the future of the region. And there is international consensus. For the first time, we are seeing Arab countries, Muslim countries, the international community, India, and other players joining in this vision. And it's a realistic vision. And there's also a very clear alternative if Hamas doesn't accept. So we are hopeful that this common vision to end the war will create the necessary pressures needed in order to Hamas to accept it. Of course, we hope they do.
The reason why there hasn't been a ceasefire in these last 2 years is singularly because Hamas has refused to let off the remaining hostages. And the reason they have said so is because if they release the hostages, they don't have any leverage left with the Israeli government. So what has changed? What can change in that?
Well, they thought that we are actually going to negotiate a situation in which they remain in Gaza. But we've been very clear from the outset, following this atrocious attack on the 7th of October, that not only we want to see our hostages released, we want Hamas to relinquish power in the Gaza Strip. And there are two ways of doing that, voluntarily and involuntarily. So we are grateful that President Trump has embraced that vision and that the world is embracing that vision. We saw it even before when the Arab League even stated that they see a future without Hamas in the Gaza Strip. So it's either you do it militarily or you do it diplomatically. But the vision is very clear. And this is what we are trying to achieve.
The first option is the diplomatic option. Obviously, President Trump has presented his plan, and you're hoping, and the whole world is hoping it happens diplomatically. But if it doesn't, then what happens?
Well, Prime Minister of Israel has stated that, and President Trump has stated that. Israel will be free to continue the military operation. And in those areas that are not yet released from Hamas rule, we will start implementing the vision. So we are not going to wait anymore and for an outcome in which Hamas is going to agree. If they don't agree, we're going to start implementing the vision in the areas that are already under Israeli control, and we'll continue our military campaign until we get Hamas read out of Gaza.
But that military campaign, if it comes down to that, and you're already, in a full-fledged military campaign inside Gaza City, is not necessarily going to release your hostages. So
that's right. So, we prefer a diplomatic outcome, and the reason that why this war has been prolonged for so long is for two reasons. First of all, because we didn't want to kill our hostages, and second is because we didn't want to kill Palestinians. Okay, Israel could, in the first week of this operation, to completely obliterate the Gaza Strip. We refrained from doing that. But we implemented
Ambassador, with due respect, 65,000 Palestinians have died. That's not a small number.
No, it's not. I think Palestinians have been suffering greatly as a result of this war. But Israel was very cautious and only attacked military targets. And the tragic loss of life is a result of the war. But it's not the intention of Israel to obliterate the Gaza Strip, which we could have done. Instead of that, we used diplomacy and military pressure. So we hope that the military pressure that we use so far will be enough. We don't want to continue this war. And therefore, we are glad that there is a consensual plan how to achieve that.
I want to come to the international reactions to the plan that's been unveiled in the White House. India and Prime Minister Modi has tweeted about it. How do you see his welcoming the Gaza Peace Plan?
By President Trump?
No, by Prime Minister Modi.
Oh, I think we are very grateful for that. I think that the speedy response by Prime Minister Modi is a testament of how we see common principles and common ideology, how we reject terrorism, how we want to create a situation in which we not only achieve security, but we achieve prosperity. And this plan actually details how we are going to achieve prosperity, because not only Israelis, also Palestinians deserve to live in peace. And therefore, the fact that India is supporting that gives me hope that we can succeed, and that India can involve itself to the degree that it wishes.
How would you envisage India playing a role in post-war Gaza?
Well, India has a lot to offer, both in terms of their friendship with the Palestinians, both in terms of assistance in economic projects. India has been a contributor to multinational forces in our region. This time, we want that involvement will actually be effective.
No, how does that translate?
Well, it translates.
It
can be construction. It can be other elements. It depends on how India is going to engage with the force that is going to be created there. So it's too soon to tell. We first of all have to see that this plan is implemented, and then we can, of course, negotiate.
Have you had any conversations with the Indian government on a possible role for India in a post-war
Well,
Gaza?
not in detail. I think that everybody has seen the principles even before the announcement of President Trump. But I think the sky's the limit in terms of what we can achieve if the situation gets stabilized on the security side.
But you would welcome India sort of taking part in an active role in a post-war Gaza?
Absolutely.
I also want to ask you about the reaction from Pakistan. 9 Muslim countries, including Pakistan, have welcomed this proposal. President Trump made it a point to congratulate and thank Prime Minister Sharif and General Munir of Pakistan for their role in this Gaza Peace Plan. How would you view that?
We welcome any support from Arab and Muslim countries to the vision of achieving peace in a way that completely rejects terrorism. And this is actually a good development. I think that as many countries in our region, in your region, acknowledge that terrorism is not a legitimate means, and you have to get rid of terrorism in order to achieve stability. As many countries adopt that, it's a good thing for us, and it's a good thing for you.
And how much did Israel finally coming around to this plan have to do with the fact that Western countries, Britain, France, Canada, etc., have recently recognized an independent
I think these countries
state?
have been detached from the process. We've been negotiating this and talking about this with our American friends for a whole year now, since the Trump administration came to power. And actually, you could trace it back 5 years ago with the Trump plan for Israeli-Palestinian peace. So the principles of Palestinian reform are there. Okay? Reforming the education system, de-radicalizing the society. These are things that we all agree upon. So the fact that there were some countries that were trying to create a shortcut, what was very unconducive to a peaceful situation, because we've done these mistakes in the past, Zakka. When we did the Oslo process, we weren't stubborn enough to get the Palestinians to get rid of this incitement from their school system, to stop paying terrorists. When we withdrew from the Gaza Strip until the last inhabitant, until the last grade, we didn't condition it with Palestinian reform. And the result was this disastrous oppression by a terrorist organization that took control of the Gaza Strip. And even after they did that, we thought that maybe this combination of a jihadi rule with responsible governance would give us the tools to create stability. We were wrong again. So how many times we have to be wrong until we acknowledge that without a reform within Palestinian society, you cannot do a shortcut to statehood.
So you're saying this is a precondition to statehood. Unless there is reformation inside Gaza, inside
Well,
West Bank, you don't see an independent, viable Palestinian state.
We didn't even start to talk about statehood. We want to have effective self-rule. That is the first phase. Let's not jump stages. Let's create a situation in which we can create security and stability, that societies can engage in a constructive process of empowerment, peacefulness, and then, the door gets open for many things.
All right, Ambassador Azar, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.